Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jacob Zarang with the National Weather Service, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, located in Slidell, Louisiana. Given your weekly weather briefing for this upcoming week for December 14th. So let's jump right into what the situation overview is. We're going to have a strengthening low pressure over the Gulf of Mexico, which will result in strong winds and coastal flooding as it passes by the local area. This coming weekend, we'll dive into the specifics in terms of impacts and exact timing. And then, other than that, the weather is expected to remain relatively quiet with near normal temperatures and low rain chances outside of this weekend and on Saturday. So, with the approaching low in the Gulf and the cold front coming down, strong winds are expected, especially on Friday. The strongest winds are expected to be along the immediate coastal areas, and that is where our current wind advisory is. You can see that on the bottom underneath the winds. And that graphic on top is showing you about what wind gusts you could see Saturday morning, Friday night going into Saturday morning. And those impacts with these winds are going to be, it could be difficult to drive in 30 to 35 mile an hour winds. And of course, a bunch of people have Christmas decorations up this time of year, so make sure you secure that, or loose objects could be blown around in these winds. So make sure you secure those decorations so they don't go flying across your neighborhood or anything like that. So another byproduct of these strong winds is we have a gale warning in effect from now until Saturday for those strong winds. Those strong winds will create some hazardous seas, high waves, hazardous seas, which could capsize or damage vessels and reduce visibility in all of the marine areas from now until Saturday after the low passes. So with the easterly winds this weekend, we do currently have a coastal flood advisory out for tonight for high tide. So that is showing you that we could be hitting flood stage in the eastern facing shores with those east-northeast winds. Currently, we have that coastal flood advisory out. And as we dive into tomorrow night, indications are that the tides will be even higher than tonight. So we still have a few areas under the coastal flood advisory, but where tide is supposed to be even higher than yesterday, or sorry, tonight. We have that coastal flood watch, and look for that to potentially increase to a coastal flood warning as we get into tomorrow, closer to Friday night's high tide. And then as we'll go into Saturday, we'll likely need more headlines as the tides still look to be above that flood stage. And looking specifically at the flood stages, here's Waveland, Mississippi. You can see the approximate flood stage is about at 1 foot. Tonight is that first gray peak. We get about a half a foot above flood stage, and then as we get to Friday night, we get almost 3/4 of a foot above flood stage, and then finally Saturday night we start backing down those high tides. So definitely we have the flood advisory tonight. Look for additional headlines Friday and Saturday. And just reiterating that, here's the Shell Beach tide forecast. Approximate flood stage at that 1 foot mark. You can see we're getting almost a foot above flood stage tonight, and then tomorrow night we get almost 1.5 feet above flood stage, and before it starts backing down as well. So in terms of rainfall with this low and cold front passing through, generally we're going to be seeing about a 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches across the area. So nothing too concerning. All of this we can use the rain, as we'll see later. We've actually improved our drought conditions, but we can still use this rain. And then in terms of 7-day, really outside of Saturday and Friday, we're not expecting any rain. You can see generally 1 to 1.5 inches over the next 7 days. And if you recall to the slide before, all of that is with this system coming through this weekend. So after the system passes through, we're not expecting any rain until through next Thursday. So we will be dry after this system passes through. And getting into a little bit of a longer term outlook, we are expected to be warmer than average around Christmas Day. This is the temperature and rainfall outlook for the week of Christmas, December 21st through the 27th. Looks like we'll be above average for temperature and about near average for rainfall. So not too dry, but also not too wet either. So speaking of the drought situation, you can see a lot of our areas actually improved from we had that exceptional drought in the past outlooks, but now that's been confined to far southeast Louisiana. We still have that D4 exceptional drought, but portions have improved to severe drought. But again, this is still a drought, so we still need more rainfall to completely alleviate the drought conditions. So just summarizing everything we've talked about today, strengthening low pressure over the Gulf of Mexico will result in those strong winds and coastal flooding as it passes through the local area. And really outside of that, not expecting a whole lot of weather impacts. So after this system passes, expect a more benign weather pattern to set up through next Thursday. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to call us or contact us on Slack. That is all I have, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.